this week at the Georgia Strait, it was our special fall urban living issue. And the big story was the whole trend towards laneway housing. There is so much happening across the region, not just in Vancouver, to do with laneway housing. So that is building a little coach house or a little garden house usually behind older homes along the alleyways. So we talk about some of the newer areas where they're looking at doing it in the West End. And we talk about the fact that they're sprouting up all over the rest of the city. There's some new city policies that require things like people have to supply parking now for the laneway houses. I guess there were some complaints about parking out on streets. So they've been modifying it and sort of finessing the policies as they go along. We also sort of trace the history of them. They actually started in Maple Ridge, way out in Maple Ridge. They were the first ones to do it, but now they're happening all over the region. We talked to a specific couple who decided to move into one in the back of their parents' old house. It's a house that's been in the family for generations, and Vancouver housing prices obviously made this very desirable for this young couple as they are expecting a baby and so on. So we looked at the design, and these laneway houses don't have to be little tiny boxes anymore within the floor space that is allowed. The one we look at is actually 2 stories. It has a bedroom upstairs. It has an outdoor patio. It has high ceilings, huge windows. So they actually don't have to feel that small and cramped if they're designed in a proper way. And so we're seeing young couples moving into the back of their parents' house. We're seeing young couples have their parents move into the back of the house so they can keep an eye on them, and vice versa. So it's obviously appealing to a lot of people in the city. So we look at that in depth and look at some of the design things you can do to make these laneway houses look a lot bigger than they actually are. The one we looked at was 500 square feet, and it feels double that. So it's worth a look at that. Elsewhere in our urban living section, the the Vancouver Home and Design Show is on this weekend at BC Place. It runs till Sunday. And we talked to a very special guest that they have there. Her name is Annie Sloan, and she's from Britain. And she is basically credited with starting the whole trend towards decorative painting way back probably in the 80s. She's been doing it for at least 25 years. She's written 20 books on the subject, everything from faux painting chairs to antiques to even doing ironwork and metal. And she has her own line called Chalk Paint, and she'll be demonstrating that all weekend down at BC Place about how to use it. She's got waxes and things that she uses to sort of make things look distressed and old. She also has a new book out, which she'll be signing, and it talks about, there's a lot of French-style furniture because she has bought a farmhouse in France, and she talks about how you can get that really sophisticated but distressed and worn-looking French look using her chalk paint. So in the book, she uses it on armoires, on old chandeliers, on bedside tables, and just makes them look beautiful. She uses a lot of blues and greens. She uses a lot of grays and sort of linen whites. So it was really interesting to talk to her, and she's quite a big name to be here at the Home and Design Show. So you could head on down and talk to her about that. Elsewhere in our section, you'll see things about a new architecture show at the Museum of Vancouver. We talk about how to spruce up and spice up the design of your condo with a few sort of wild accents, even if you have a very staid couch. We talk about a new wine cellar business for people who live in small spaces like condos. It's a sort of group space called 13C for 13 Celsius, which I guess is the ideal temperature to keep wine at. It's a group space where you can rent sort of space to put your wine there if you don't have room in your condos. So we look at a number of different things going on, and you should definitely pick up the paper for that. On the arts end this weekend, there's also tons going on, and the biggest news is the Kronos Quartet show that's going to be going on at the Chance Center for the Performing Arts. It's their season opening concert, and it's a biggie. Kronos Quartet is, of course, from San Francisco. They have revolutionized new music for string quartets, and they are celebrating their 40th anniversary with a very big birthday present. They have a new premiere by Philip Glass, the famous composer, and they're going to be premiering it right here in Vancouver on Saturday night. Philip Glass is coming here to attend, so it's a pretty big deal. It's a new work he's written specifically for them, and by the sounds of things in our interview, he's a very big fan of the Kronos Quartet. So it's quite a big deal that's happening out at UBC campus there on Saturday evening. The other big sort of festival that's going on this weekend is the Gate to the Spirit Festival. Now, this is a festival dedicated to Indian classical dance. It's put on by the Mandala Arts Society, which runs Bharatnatyam classes here in Vancouver. But the festival actually shows much more than that style. It's bringing in some very big worldwide stars in the form of Odissi and in the form of Kathak. So this is the place where you can go and experience classical Indian dance in its newer form, being performed by some of the youngest stars in the form. And it's just a very rare opportunity to see some of these dancers. Interestingly, these dancers aren't necessarily born and raised in India. Some of them are Americans, some of them are from Canada, and of course they go to India to further their studies, and they've become big touring stars there. But it just shows that the Indian classical form, which is so beautiful, so serene, so flexible and organic, is taking off all over the world. So that's another festival to check out this weekend. Of course, there's much more going on, so check the Georgia Strait listings and our articles this week to see what else to do.
感谢收看今天的大温故事，我们下期再见。